Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Aftermath.
It's us.
I'm
the boys.
Ian, we have Ethan, and Bill.
Poetry.
Dexterity.
So, just to preface at the top of this episode, back in November, we watched this movie, and we had some technical difficulties with 2 episodes, and we lost them and just didn't have any audio. It wasn't even like bad audio, it was nothing.
Oh, yes.
And really hurt all of our feelings, and we all just put it in the trash can, and we set it to the side, and we're like, you know what, one day we'll revisit this, but it can't be any time recently because recent to that time. The wound was still fresh.
Now that we've properly healed,
We're
back
just
at you with a rehash.
So, it was like, not really. We're not going to refilm it. We're busy.
Yes, we were all busy.
We
I
got
was
shit
like,
to do.
I can't refilm it tonight. I can't refilm it the next day because I was working a night shift. And I was like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And we just
and it was also
it, so
right
I'm
around.
watch it next week. Like,
I think it was right around like Thanksgiving or something. And then, needless to say, we have just kind of hit a good stride of like other episodes. Christmas happened. We had a whole bunch of episodes planned for that one.
We just had to keep it going.
Exactly. So we've just been rolling with the punches. I digress. We now we watched Dead Poets Society.
Yes.
And man, I liked that movie.
Still a great movie.
one of the things for this one that I liked was that it was one of my favorite movies that we've watched.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time, it was my favorite movie, but since I honestly do think that as far as podcasting goes, that this one and Horse Sense are in my list. And I'm not even. And the worst part is how unironic I am about that.
Dude, so
It makes fucking sense. Those were amazing.
For 2 totally different reasons, they're in my list of just the best movies that I've gotten to do a podcast on.
Well, I'm glad.
So, but the problem is we lost one of them, which was kind of bull.
Yeah.
But I
again, just to also to say the other one, if you have listened for any length of time, you guys know this, but I'll say it again. The other one was Blade Runner, and I really want to do that one again. But I wanted to do it justice because I enjoyed that movie a whole lot. Again, we'll get to that one at some point.
It definitely warrants a second watch.
Yes, exactly. But this movie, though, I enjoyed it the first time around, and I think there's like little subtle things I now have picked up on watching it a second time after kind of knowing. You know how whenever you watch a movie, you get like the plot the first go around, and then after you like watch it a second time, even for like an extended period of time, you start to get like little nuanced things.
You pull back the curtain just a wee bit.
yeah, people say to do that with like Back to the Future and stuff.
Oh, of course. Talk about a movie that warrants a couple of viewings to understand the whole whole scope of it.
But I think this movie, it's really good, and I think one of the things about it as well is like it's such a good story of like what's going on.
Oh yeah.
My only thing that like is like my qualm with the movie is that like I understand that maybe everybody's parents are assholes in this area, but like I feel like if there was one person who had parents that were just like kind of dicks and not like supreme level 9,000 assholes, then like it would be more believable.
Mega douches.
Yeah, but I'm sitting here and I'm like, even at the end, whenever some kid died and this kid's distressed, like whenever all this happens, like big spoiler figure, but we're gonna get there anyway. At the very end, that dude's still like, I've heard enough, sign the paper, and he's like questioning his life. I'm like, even this dude's dad's a dick. Like, I understand this is 1960. So, like, I guess everybody's a dick, but, like, Jesus, like, gosh, man, this is insane.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's dad was just that guy.
Right,
hard, grizzled man that just wasn't taking no shit.
Right. No, even that is okay. As a hard, grizzled man who wants you to do exactly what he says and you cannot live your own life.
Yeah.
That's the annoying part.
Yeah.
So, which the movie opens with that. At the very, very beginning of the movie, it opens with this kid going to this new school, and it's a fancy boarding school. It's a prep school, and he is being prepped for college, right? And at the very beginning, it's him.
Not just like regular college, though, like
Harvard
fancy
or
fancy
college, whatever it is. Ivy League. He's going to go be a doctor or something, which is why he's in the prep school thing. And you find out later that his dad couldn't afford to have these things, so his dad's forcing him to have all these fancy things and to be a doctor because he could get that. He can afford that education, so he has to have it, right?
Right.
So at the very beginning of the movie, it opens up with his dad being an asshole because as soon as he's like he meets his new roommate, and his roommate has all their friends in it, and they're all like they're a clique, they're all really close. and he's being kind of invited and all that. They're all hanging out, trying to figure out who his roommate is, and then his dad walks in and is like, we have decided that you have too many extracurriculars this year, so we will be dropping one. And he, like, off the bat, you're like, okay, so this guy's an asshole.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, off the bat, he doesn't give him a choice. It's like, even though he has good grades in the last semesters, right, but he has too many this year, so you're going to do this. And he's like, what are you talking about? I like writing for the paper. I want to write on the paper as an extracurricular. And he's like, everybody leaves so that I can be an asshole because he just questioned my authority, right? So then he's talking to him. He's like, don't you ever do that again. And he was like, I wasn't questioning
Don't ever
you.
dispute me in
Right,
public
yeah.
again.
He was like, I wasn't disputing anything, but I liked the paper. And so he was like, yeah, go for it.
No, see, I like that there's a handful of main characters you can feel, but there's like the auxiliary cast, or I guess like the secondary co-stars kind of are also it's all about that kind of like that community. Again, it's the whole Dead Poet Society, obviously, which makes sense.
There isn't really a main character. There's like three.
That's what I'm saying.
There's like three primary characters and then a bunch of pseudo primary characters. Exactly. They're like right up there, but
but we can all agree on just screw that Fink Cameron.
Fuck Cameron. All my homies hate Cameron.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Fink boy. That's all I knew.
That's one of the nuanced.
Character doesn't have a name. I just hate him. He's a bit sorry.
That's one of the nuanced things I didn't realize in the first movie. I think I watched it and I think I realized it, but now knowing like how much of a little turd that guy was,
whenever you're watching the movie the second go around, you start to notice how not immediately on board with everything he is.
He's a conformist, is what he is.
Of course, yes.
Which the movie kind of, I think, plays into, like, being a conformist, which is funny because of our current society hot take.
Boy.
So,
topical.
Yeah, topical. Back to the movie, though, because that's what we're here for. You can listen to my other podcast about nothing.
I was going to, oh, my God, please. Yes. Don't plug a podcast
non-existent podcast.
Quick, someone grab the pug.
Oh, my God. I told you.
I want to make that a podcast, but it's not yet. So
I'm telling you, you can have your podcast. You can have that podcast. I will do that for you, but you're going to have to pay for it, though. I'm not going to pay for your podcast.
I'm okay with that. I just think it's funny that I just plugged a non-existent podcast. And you told me that I could plug it if it existed.
Joke's on you, even better. Fucking losers.
Right, yeah.
Have fun going on that goose chase. Ian, cut this out so they don't know it's not real.
Got it. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And we're clear. I had a little moment of silence so we could clean that up. So at the very beginning of the movie, he's like, don't question my authority again. We're going to drop this. And he was like, but I like the paper. It's great. And he was like, I don't want to hear it. Basically, he doesn't even give a crap. He's like, you have too much to do. I know best. Bye.
Great.
And that maintains.
Love my dad.
He's the enemy of the movie. He's the arch rival because like
the big bad.
It stays that way.
Oh, and he's also played by the dad character from that 70s show Red. I don't know the real actor's name. I can't remember it, but a great actor. I every time I've seen him in something, I'm always like, this guy's real good.
He's always pretty good.
He plays an even harsher version of Red from that 70s show. He's, same kind of, disappointed dad character.
Grumpy old father.
But he plays an even stricter version in this movie. And again, just great job all around. What I can say, I remember from the first time we watched this, is I like that Robin Williams' character is important and is like crucial, but he's not like the main character. Yeah. And he didn't I love it's like a different take than most Robin Williams movies that I've watched, where he's kind of like the spotlight, because again, he's obviously this big personality.
It's fucking Robin Williams.
Exactly. You can't go wrong. But this one, it's like he's like this mentor character, and he kind of comes around and it's like this pivotal thing. And like this, I don't know.
He's not the main character. He's an accessory. But, and he's still an important character. He's a secondary character, but he's not the main character, because the main character follows the story of 2 or 3 of the people, and then the secondary characters are the rest of the clique of people and also the teacher.
I loved Charlie Dalton as a character. I liked our main characters, obviously, but there was something about the swagger of that kid that I was like, hell yeah, man, come on.
You mean Nuwanda?
Yeah, Nuwanda.
Man, it's Nuwanda. Yeah. I like whenever he's going in the room and after his punishment, which I'll get to later, and he's like, I have to come clean about everything and all this, or I'll be expelled tomorrow. And they were like, well, did you? Like, Charlie, did you? And he says, it's new Wanda with a little smirk, and I was like, that man, that's the most Giga Chad way of saying I didn't say crap.
I ain't finking on nobody.
Yeah, and then he punched the guy who did fake. Rip.
What a bitch.
So.
Oh man.
Never trust a redhead.
Yeah. All right, I guess I'll leave.
That's right, Ethan. Fuck you.
No, he's just on the.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll wake up tomorrow and it'll be dark brown instead. Like
he's already on the dark brown spectrum of red, so he's on our side.
This man just said I'm on the spectrum.
Oh, I
Sorry.
see. You're a
No,
turncoat.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, like
Whatever you say, you fucking lobster.
Right, I'll wake up like 3 weeks from now and it'll just be blonde. Apparently, people have told me that my hair looks like it's a freaking strawberry blonde. I don't know. People they make up colors for my hair. You know.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely
You're looking very
sometimes
lavender today,
exactly like, oh man, nice fuchsia colored brows,
wow.
bro. Like what?
I'm digging the green in your
right?
hair, man.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's a
the other
nice
day-
puce, man.
The other day, right?
Ooh.
Dude, if my hair is colored puce, I would be so happy because of the name.
What color is puce?
Gross, I'm sure.
It's like fucking
Nothing called puce can be attractive.
kind of like nasty ass piss yellow that they use for file folders.
Really?
Yeah.
I've got to look this
For,
up.
least
now.
for
I
you,
think so. I
for
think.
Manila folder.
Don't quote me.
You mean Manila?
That's what the color
I
was.
don't
I thought
fucking
as a
know. I
kid.
mean, I'm not an expert on the fucking spectrum.
Oh,
Okay?
excuse me for not being a puce expert. Oh man.
Puce of shit.
Yeah, the other day I was at the gym and I was doing
it's like a flesh pink color.
Let me see.
No, my hair should not be that color.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. Sorry.
Yeah, the other, like normally I'm like, oh, my hair is like a brownish, and I was overhead pressing the other day, and I looked in the mirror, and I was like, man, my hair is like actually on fire red.
I must
right
be
now.
a fucking chameleon.
Right? I don't understand. It was weird. So back to the movie. Not
Yeah.
my hair, my puce-colored hair. Actually, that's factual, guys. We should put that in the lore on when we get a wiki page.
It's just a dark
that I have
pink
puce-colored
red.
hair, and people have fan art of my puce-colored
Yikes.
hair.
Oh no, please.
People take one look at you.
And they puce.
They're reminded of Play-Doh. That's what that color reminds me of, is fucking Play-Doh.
Yo, I'm about to puce.
Fun to play with, not to eat.
Oh, Jesus.
Fun to eat, not to play with.
See, they lied about that, though.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody ate that shit.
Well,
Wait, you ate Play-Doh?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, good.
But I've watched people do it. It was really funny.
It's awesome. I love that you were the judgmental man in the background, like, huh.
how you guys doing?
So yeah, back to the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we can go ahead and like do the kind of jump towards the end section, unless you guys have something else to say.
I was gonna go toward the middle for some notes. Basically,
Okay,
we are
go
gonna
ahead.
We're gonna skip some other bits in the beginning, but yeah, they go into class, and Robin Williams is teaching in a funny way. He's an interesting teacher, and he's the first like free thinking teacher, and he's trying to teach them to be free thinkers and to not just be conformists and all that. So, he does that, right? He goes in there and he teaches in a very odd way and all that, and he does all these weird things, and then it takes him out there, and he's like,
it's very representative right off the bat. These guys are all like they all like stand up when he gets in there.
It also does they
have like their books ready and all that kind of stuff, and it's like
it shows that they are basically indoctrinated in the school, like this is like a military or something, because it also shows you 2 classes before then, very briefly, of the teachers talking, and the teachers are like, I would encourage you not to threaten me on this. If your work is late, that will be 2 points off of your final grade.
About 2 points.
If you have too many late assignments, your final grade, you could have A's, you will fail. Like, that's everybody. And then you get up to him, and he's like, well, come on, guys, we're going outside.
Yeah.
And
follow me.
Yeah. He starts
come
off
on.
with, one of my like really like favorite scenes, because he talks about seizing the day and all that.
Oh yeah.
And he looks at all the pictures of other high schoolers from like the old people, and he was like, look at them, their eyes are all full of light, like they were you, and
and fertilizing.
And now they're dead, because they basically say everybody dies, seize the day is what he's trying to get to. And it was very interesting. I like it a lot, because I've had different points as well where I've looked through books and been like, man, I know these people. I know that they're old now. They're 50 or 60 now. And it's so weird to look at these pictures and think like, oh, I was 17 when I was looking at this. They're 17 too. Yeah. I compare a picture of me in high school to them. We're the same age. And it's weird to think that all this has happened to like everybody, and that we're all going through life in a weird way. I really like that a lot. But then he keeps saying seize the day. And after a while I was like, yeah, seize it. Just grab life by the balls. Give it the old dick twist. And I don't know why. That was so funny.
So aggressive.
Yeah.
That's how you gotta be.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, again, But at no point in time did I ever think that the character, Mr. Keating, the Robin Williams character, ever, like, yes, he did some like unorthodox things or whatever, but I don't think at any point was he like overtly breaking the rules. It's just he was in a system that was very strict.
Yeah, no, and that's the interesting thing about his character about this movie is that it showcases very like people being unfair to people who are just trying to free think, which I think is one of the probably many underlying messages of this movie is that just for trying to think freely and do your own thing, like yes, the actual Dead Poet Society that we're gonna get to, and that's when people they went out and they basically broke a bunch of the rules to go out, and they were like, from the way he described it, either just doing a lot of poetry or having sex in some cave. And the way it was described is like they were breaking rules to do this.
Yeah.
So that's actually against the rules. But just for being different, for trying to do what you want to do and for thinking freely, everyone's getting in trouble.
Yeah.
When it comes to actual problems, like, yeah, those are problems too, but what everyone's getting in trouble for is not the actual problems,
Comparatively
like at the end of the day, Mr. Keating was fired not because he broke any rules or encouraged any negative behavior, but just because he was doing it his way. And that's why his character was fired, And
again, it was not what all the other stick up their butt big guys wanted.
It's not what anyone else wanted because it was, again, unorthodox, right?
Exactly. But like there's a point like where like Mr. Keating's like colleague or whatever is like talking to him about certain things and like just like being very judgmental for like the way he's doing things, and it's like I don't know, it's just it kind of like made me realize that there's like still places like that today that are like very I don't know like one way of thinking, and it's like there's no other way around it.
You
it's
can't,
like,
right. If you do anything else, you're just wrong.
Exactly, and so
Nail
this guy
that sticks out gets hammered down.
Exactly, and this guy here is just trying to I don't know. Yeah, and again, I think it speaks to me in the same way that when we watched Whiplash, and I had a very strong reaction towards something. It's like we're talking about something that is artistic by nature. It's like it's poetry. And again, you have...
I really like that scene where he's like...
Oh, dude.
You can't grade... Because even whenever I was watching this the first time, I was like, we're actually grading poetry. This is stupid. And he tells him to rip it out, and I was like, no, there it is.
It has the introduction of a book, and it's very like...
He's giving you a mathematical equation for
what... he's scientific methods to poetry.
He's trying to...
He's saying how
grade
well
poetry on a plane graph or whatever.
How well it's phrased and how important the message is, and then if you have on the scale where it meets in the middle, you can have the total surface area is a score of how good any poem is.
Yes,
that's literally it.
But again, it's the same thing.
It's insane because
the same thing is done in like music a lot of times. It's like I believe there's like a certain way to do certain types of music, but I feel like at the end of the day, like it's music. Like you can, it's
whatever you want to do.
It's an art form. It's up to interpretation by some degree. I do feel like there are certain things that are considered wrong. Like again, if you're going by a certain structure of rules, which if you choose to follow those certain section of rules, that's one thing. But if you're again, it's art. You can set your own rules in certain ways, and so it's like I yelp. Oh, dude, don't even get me started with that. Yeah. It's like I enjoy that like this guy here is saying like, hey, like this is not.
You can't measure poetry.
Yes, you can measure it if you want to by certain circumstances if you choose to. But at the end of the day, like it's not. That's not the point. That's not the point of it. It's to it's to express yourself, and it's to I don't know, find your voice and all that kind of stuff. So I think I like that message of it a whole lot.
Yeah, I was really. I think it was really good for a lot of the messages that were there, but
it's very inspiring.
Our secondary character we have, the new kid that we were talking about, is very shy. Doesn't like talking in front of people. Is very soft spoken, and he maintains that throughout the entire movie. That is his character. He has his ups and his downs, but I like that he's a consistent character that like finds himself.
And but again, he has an unorthodox way of teaching, but that character is
able to find himself.
He's very quiet in class, and he's like, I can't do it. I didn't write anything. And even the guy who wrote something completely as a joke, he was still like,
Mr. Keating was very
positive. He managed
about
to make a teaching moment out of it or whatever. But then this guy, like, if you don't write anything, you just fail the assignment. So instead of doing that, he still gets him up and he tries to get him out of his shell by telling him to scream, to do a barbaric yawp. And then he's like, all right. After he does that, he tells him to describe somebody who looked creepy. So then he's like, don't even think. Just start answering the question if it doesn't make sense. And then he basically made him just make poetry, and he was like, you've got it in you, right? And again, it's a very unorthodox way of doing it, but now what he just did was make that guy realize that he can do something and help this kid believe in himself.
Worked like a charm.
Exactly.
Which is not what anybody else would see in the movie, and they still fired the guy who was, again, objectively a better teacher than every other teacher at the school because of the way he was teaching.
But it puts into perspective, like, again, what I got out of this movie, the second go round was, so again, to preface what's going on here, at the end of the movie, what I would consider the main character guy of this movie, the first character you see and you kind of get some emotional connection to, he ends up enjoying being in a play, enjoys acting, tries to go after his dreams. His dad really shuts that down,
Neil.
And then brings him home and basically tells him, like, what were you thinking, all that kind of stuff.
He tells him he's going to pull him out of the school.
Yeah.
And then he's going to put him into military school instead.
Yeah.
And he also blew the play out the water. He got the main part, and he was a great actor. And everyone knew it.
Great character arc all around.
So then he, after everything he's been through, he keeps on trying to get away from his dad. His dad keeps shutting him down and keeps saying, like, oh, no, all this.
And then now he's going to put him in a military school and says, you're going to go to Harvard to be a doctor. And he's like, that's like 10 years.
And his dad's like, extra 10 years, it's forever. And he's like, you're being dramatic. And I think one of the things
it's not a prison sentence. It's like, actually.
I mean, we've skipped to the end of my notes, but one of the things that I put down here is that, like, whenever he finally gets in a shouting match with his dad, because it's basically over for him anyway. He's like, it's like game over or whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. So he gets in a shouting match with his dad, and his dad's like, fine, how do you feel about it? And then there's a moment where they're just quiet, and his dad still has not shut up. His dad never shut up in that scene, which is, again, very telling of his character, that he just doesn't care. And then he does care, because you see that later as well. But it's very telling of his character that he still doesn't shut up. But that now this character, he decided to shut up. He's like, he realized he had his chance to talk, but he knew his dad wouldn't listen. So he just stopped, and he sat back down and just said nothing. Never mind. And I thought that was really telling of right then and there. He had already made up his mind. He made up his mind. He already knew what was up, because it was just like, it doesn't matter.
There's no hope.
I can't get through them, and apparently they can control every aspect of my life. It's not even my life anymore.
I want to go forward and circle back around to that scene as well, because I have more to say about that. But inevitably, the kid, after that moment, ends up committing suicide. And it is a very heavy moment. But like I said, we'll come back around to that. But after that happens, our secondary character that I'm talking about, what I got out of this movie seeing is that this kid, our like secondary character, very shy. What was his name again?
He was just a shy kid.
I forgot what his name was. Sorry.
Yeah.
But regardless, he starts off the movie with not really knowing who he is, not really being able to talk out loud. And of course, as the movie progresses, you get to see this character grow and like kind of break out of that mold, even though he's not like this like boisterous, extroverted character. You can see these minor steps that are like becoming like this bigger character. And I think it's really, really cool, because at the end of the movie, at like the very, very tail end of it, you get to see this kid speak up and shout out at this injustice that's going on. And it's like, it puts into perspective, like, the system around Mr. Keating and all that kind of stuff is locked into one way of thinking and blaming him for the suicide of this kid and letting them be free thinking. But on the very opposite spectrum, you have this kid that is like breaking out of his shell and being able to like speak out against this and like understand his feelings in some degree. And it's like at the very end of the movie, it's the last shot on him, and it hit me differently this time watching around, because it's like he now knows who he is, and it's because of Mr. Keating. Yep. So it's like everyone is locked in this one way of thinking. It's like Mr. Keating is the cause of messing all these kids' minds up and causing that kid to commit suicide. And on the opposite of this spectrum, you have this kid that's like, I had a hard time speaking how I felt to people.
Yeah,
that's just I might as well owe this man everything.
Exactly.
This same character was the one who was trying to convince this kid to not do the play, and then when he was like, whose side are you on? And then whenever he finally gets the play, he's like, how are you going to do it? And he's like, they need a letter from my dad. He's like, you're not going to write it. And he was like, yeah, I am.
Watch me.
Like, and so he decides that instead of asking for permission, because he's know his dad's an asshole and he's going to say no, he decides he's just going to go for it, and he's going to do the play.
Yeah, and then of course,
and then his dad finds out and everything, and that's causing some of the drama. But this whole time, the character has been against him doing the play pretty
Yeah.
much until he realizes how good he is and realizes that this is what he loved and saw how
Yeah.
happy he was.
That was his passion.
And then now everyone's like, Mr. King is the reason why people are committing suicide. He needs to be fired. He's a crappy teacher. And then he's here like, actually, no, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It's this dude. It's his stupid dad who made him do it. And then which again, that's the obvious thing, but no one's gonna blame it because apparently in this area of society at this time, everyone's dads are assholes, and it's all about, especially at least everybody who goes to this kind of school, all their dads are like, no, you're gonna be perfect. You have to do this. It's not your choice.
Parents are
and it's like
fault.
It's like their dads are living the life that they wanted to through their kid. And it's like, I never had this. So you're gonna do it, and it's like, what if he just doesn't want to freaking be a doctor?
Yeah.
Like, what? Straight up, what if he wants to do something else? Honestly, it's not about whether or not he hits it big or is rich. It's about whether or not he wants to live his freaking life. Like, so.
But that they don't.
And then
now
now
don't care about that,
he
Right.
realizes that his roommate at the time that he like had just recently met. He was the new guy, right? His roommate committed suicide.
Yeah, one of his closest friends actually was what it seemed like.
Exactly, yeah. His roommate and his
him by the
friend
end.
like committed suicide because of his dad, but everyone's blaming it on someone else, his favorite teacher. So now the quiet kid is now like he's taking a stand, but it's almost like he's gonna be double quiet now because now he's got one less important friend, even though he's got his clique, one less important friend, and he doesn't have his favorite teacher anymore, and it's just like, and everyone's acting like that's okay in this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the solution to the problem.
Yeah. I didn't realize at the end of the movie that they had expelled Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that was a thing. I mean, I think I remember him saying that, but I didn't realize it until the last scene whenever the dean or head
asshole.
What is his name? Head
bitch.
Headmaster, whatever the hell it is. I mean, it's not like he's at freaking Hogwarts or something.
Yeah, for real.
He walks in the room and there's 2 empty seats. And I saw it and I was like, oh wow, I didn't think about that. I was like, well, that's
they're
it's
gone.
different. Yeah, they're gone. And so but anyways, let's circle back around to what you were talking about. Your notes that you wanted to kind of go through.
The 2 of them, it's kind of passed already, but
Okay.
one of them is whenever he's, at least it looks like he does, he kind of knows what's happening, but whenever he's doing the very end, so whenever this main character guy is in the play, he is doing great and all that, he goes backstage to do like a little change thing. Like he's off of the stage now for the play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was playing Puck in the play. And so he goes backstage and then he sees his dad in the back waiting for him and not seeming amused. And you kind of think for a moment that maybe this movie's going to take a positive turn, and it doesn't.
Because just to preface, he sets it up earlier by being like, he lies to Mr. Keating by saying like, I talked to my dad and he's going to be in Chicago, and he says,
but you knew, and Mr. Keating knew he was onto it, like that he didn't talk to his dad.
Yeah.
Like you knew he didn't.
The first showing, I didn't quite know. I was believing the kid, even though I was kind of like, maybe
that
not.
doesn't sound quite right, but okay.
Well, so then he has to come back up and do it. So he comes back up and does some of his play, and then he does his closing line, and he's just making direct eye contact with his dad, and he's not even
who showed up like
smiling.
midway through. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, damn.
And like he's not even smiling like that, like doing his play, playing his character, but it's just his eyes do not leave his dad. And then he like gets back at everyone's like, man, you did way too good. You did a great job.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the person's like, all right, your dad's here and he wants to talk to you. And he's just like, the smile fades from his face, but not in a way that looked like he was shocked. It was just like, well, here we go again. Like he was still cool with this. He was still ready for it. And it was just like, it was just a power move that he was just like looking at his dad like, I did this. This is what I want to do. And I'm over it.
I'm going to prove to you that I'm good at this.
And it's like, and even then, like his dad was there and heard everybody say how good he was at this, but his dad just did not
Still don't care.
Which hammers it home. And at the scene, whenever he does commit suicide, his dad's freaking out, and you could tell that his dad cared about his son. But also, it's like you got to realize that you did not show him in any capacity at all up until the point that he died that you cared at all about anything that he wanted. And I think that's really why it was just like such a deep movie as well. As it talks about free thinking, all these cool things, but at the end it has a heavy ending, which obviously are the things that I like in movies. I like it when they have a heavy ending, and this is usually what I mean. This is a big sad ending, but also it if anything, it enhances how good of a movie it is.
Can I talk about that probably the last like 15 minutes of the movie or last 20 minutes? There was a point where the first time we didn't see a whole lot of the dad character. We did like a pretty good bit, but you get the premise of it. We've never seen the mom.
3 or 4 times.
We've never seen the mom character.
Any more than that, I would have been pissed.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But again, you get enough to where like you understand the disdain for this character.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a whole lot more.
Right.
The mom character shows up at this tail end of the movie for like 2 scenes. There's a point whenever the dad and the dad wakes up because he, quote unquote, hears something. And again, it's assumed that it's a gunshot, but they don't actually play it, probably out of respect, to be honest. But he wakes up, runs around the room, can't find him, goes into like his office or whatever, the dad's office.
Yeah, the study.
And then finds what happened.
Yeah.
And of course, that is like, again, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Just before that, like the movie takes a turn, and it's already kind of like a lighthearted but kind of serious, and it kind of has these moments of ebbing and flowing between that and the movie. But it just takes a like right turn.
Oh yeah.
And it's like
real sharp.
It all of a sudden gets real serious and kind of somber and a little eerie. Because I think it's like the kid knows what he's going to do.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a point where I remember when I first watched it, I was like, oh, I don't.
What the hell's going on?
Not what the hell's going on. I think I know what's going on, and I don't like it. I remember watching it, and I was like, oh, no, dude. Oh, gosh, no, dude. And then, like, as it progresses, I was like, this is exactly what I thought. And I was like, I don't like it because I like this kid. I'm like, you feel for him.
Right.
But, again, skipping back to what I was talking about before, there is a point when the mom and dad find what happened, and it's heartbreaking because the mom character, the actor did such a good job of what I would feel like, like what would actually happen, and it kind of makes me feel uncomfortable because she's kind of in denial right off the bat. He's like, he's okay. Like, it's like, but like saying it in a way that's so frantic and fast paced. That's like. And then, of course, they just break down, and it's like, oh, man, it just breaks my heart in some degree.
Not a situation you like to think about.
No, but, man, kudos to the actors for, like, really selling it.
Oh, yeah, they did fantastic.
Yeah, but, and then going back towards the end of the movie, obviously, the father blames Keating for everything, for, infecting his son and his mind or whatever and all that kind of stuff. And everyone gets picked off or whatever and stuff like that. So
yeah, and then like I said, someone gets kicked out of school because of it because he didn't want to give up.
One of my favorite characters gets kicked out, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of assumed the other ones might have too.
Yeah,
maybe, but I mean, definitely one did. And then the one who obviously thinked on all of them made up a total lie and basically said that it was he said it was the teacher's fault.
Yeah.
So then all of them had to, and of course, this kind of a school would make a teenager sign a contract because what they basically said was that they essentially said that they got every phrase they got from the one who faked, they got on paper. And then instead of telling the other students to relay their account like a corrupt, non-free-thinking school system, they put the one guy's ideas on paper, which is all they wanted, was one person to admit it, and they made the other one sign. It's assumed that if they didn't sign, they would be expelled because they're not agreeing with what happened, and that's the truth.
Yes. Right.
And the school has a rule where if they ask you a question, you don't answer the truth, you can get expelled. Yeah. So essentially, they just trap everybody in a corner of being expelled or agreeing to the lie that someone else said was the truth.
Yeah.
And it's just corrupt. And then he's like, and then the
Garbage.
student who's sitting here is like, man, what's going to happen to the teacher? And then the dude, this kid's dad is now being an asshole too. And he's like, I've heard enough. Sign the paper. And he's like, literally asked an innocent question.
Yeah.
Like, if he said, what happened to Mr. Keating? And they were like, he's going to be expelled. And then he kept talking. Then you could say he had enough. Okay. All right. Sign the paper now. But at least answer his question. And of course, nobody did because nobody cares.
Yeah.
So,
man,
I really like this movie. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I said, it takes a real heavy turn at the end. But I even starting off this movie, again, starts off in a very different light, very opposite light to what happens at the end. And I remember just a moment ago when we watched it, we started it off. And I'm like, as things were starting to like roll out, and we're starting to see a little bit of like characters and the setting, and I'm getting the vibe for the movie again. I was like, oh no, I remember how this movie ends, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh man. So, but yeah, if there's
I don't remember everything being this happy when it ended.
Oh no, of course not. Of course not.
I also like how that kid got the quack kid got a present from his parents, and it's the exact same present he got last year. And the guy was like, well, let's throw it off the balcony. I love that. I love that. He's like, don't worry, you'll get another one next year. Favorite line of the movie.
Good.
It's so good. Don't worry, you'll get another one next year.
Yeah, man, it hits heavy.
As with all Robin Williams movies, it's very good. Robin Williams movie. It's a really good movie, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
and
There's a
you
handful of
should
other ones I
watch
need to
it.
watch.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So,
But
Mrs. Doubtfire.
what's the one where he has a beard and like sitting on a bench? I never seen that one.
Goodwill Hunting.
Goodwill Hunting. I was told
That's one we definitely need to do an episode on.
I've heard that's a great movie.
Oh yeah.
Add it to a list.
Yes. If there's anybody out there,
However,
that,
forget the list because we're doing Shrek.
Oh,
please,
God.
Everyone was so down for that until I said it on the
Green Man.
podcast, and now all of you guys are like,
Yeah.
"No, wait a second.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
I'm not.
Shrek is also a priceless movie. Why? Do we have a man who does not like Shrek in here?
I enjoyed Shrek. I loved it. But over the past like 5 to 10 years, there's been a fan base that has corrupted the name of Shrek and has made it into something that I do not like anymore. I don't want to be associated with.
Okay,
the,
cool. So forget the
The
memes
freaking
about
the
about-
Shrek simps out there.
Yeah, okay. So forget the memes about people being disgusted about Shrek, but it's a good ass movie.
Yes.
Shrek 2 is my favorite movie.
I can still enjoy the movie.
I mean, me too. I can enjoy it, but you know,
Specifically Shrek 2 though. I remember.
I'm not.
I
as,
only remember the first one.
Really? Then we
Yeah.
have to watch 2 because now it's your turn to not know the movie we're watching.
Oh boy.
Let's go.
This man over
Well,
here.
no, I've seen. Wait,
This man over here-
No,
Oh,
no,
God.
don't expose my balls. No.
No.
Listen. Listen to me.
Okay.
Listen.
All right.
Okay,
There's a lot going
okay.
on here.
I've seen Shrek 2. I just don't remember.
No. Not, what I'm talking about is this man over
This
here.
man's never seen Shrek 2.
This man has
No,
never
I have.
seen. This man has never seen Inception, and
haven't
I
seen it.
have, and I love that movie.
How the turntables.
I don't remember one dang thing about Inception 'cause I was young. I was a young boy hours. So
Wow.
Well,
Well,
we'll go through a refresher course at some point.
yes.
yeah.
All I remember is the boing,
I actually don't even
like
remember
everybody
that.
else.
I don't even remember that, honestly.
It was mostly in the
Like,
trailers.
like,
it
I
wasn't
know
even the
the-
movie.
right. Yeah, exactly. I remember that as like that's the Inception noise, but I don't remember that in any capacity that it
Yeah.
relates to the
Yeah.
movie.
Also, the freaking Gypsy Danger horn.
Oh yeah.
That's literally just the sound
yeah.
they used for it.
Yeah, of
Right.
course. You know.
Perfect.
Oh man.
I thought that was really funny that they put that in that movie. That's the Gypsy Danger one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, until
So-
next time when we watch Shrek.
So, I just want to say this on a serious note. If there's anybody out there that is going through like all kind of stuff, like what we've been talking about in this this episode of this movie, or if you've ever seen Dead Poets Society,
Mhm.
like, trust me, life has its ups and downs. Life is not perfect. It's hard most of the times, but like, it gets better. Trust me. Like, there is so many ups and downs to it, and like, I know that this is not the podcast where we talk about that sort of stuff, but I just feel like I feel the need to right now. We're usually lighthearted. We just talk
Seize
about this
the
sort of
day.
stuff.
Yeah.
Grab
At the
it by
same
the
time-
balls.
Is at the same time, like,
Carpet diet.
Sometimes you can't carpet diet. Man. Sometimes you can't grab life.
Yes.
Sometimes you can't,
Mhm.
and so it's hard.
but when I'm
But like,
like I said, but still in a serious note, that there is like there are places out there. There are people to get in contact with if you need that kind of help and all that kind of stuff. And just know that, like, even though, like I said, we try and make you laugh, we try and make this jokey and lighthearted, but just know that we do care,
Yeah.
and that, you know, it's a hard life out there. So, you
yeah.
know,
As a side note, on the same topic, lightening it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I once heard of a guy who said that the reason why he did not commit suicide was because he called the suicide prevention hotline and they didn't pick up.
Oh my god.
And he thought it was. He said he thought it was so amusing that he could not physically commit suicide anymore.
That's hilarious.
And all I'm saying is, if you need help and you need to like find a therapist or talk to somebody, some of the things that they have, like calling 911 or the suicide prevention hotline, it's better to just go straight to finding a therapist. As someone who works in this field,
exactly.
as far as I'm aware, the suicide prevention hotline, all they do is call the cops on you. Like, they say that they won't, but from what I hear,
Damn.
they're not helpful.
Wow.
So I'm gonna tell you, that's an option to call them. Calling 911 is also a really good option, but find a friend or a therapist to talk to,
yeah,
because they'll actually talk to you and listen and help, and they will have no other, behind the back, I'm gonna call the cops on you thing,
Exactly.
because then you have to go through all the hospital and all that.
yeah.
Mhm.
It really depends, but if you have any thoughts, something like that, just like find someone to talk to about it.
Yeah.
Because
When you're in that mindset, it's not something you want to make an entire ordeal out of.
Oh, of
It
course.
just
not.
makes
a
it
lot
worse.
exactly. It's a lot
Yeah.
easier if you don't end up making some huge ordeal out of it. And
Yeah.
sometimes there comes a time whenever you or someone else might call 911 and you might get pulled to the hospital.
Yeah.
That may happen. if that's gonna happen. But if you're just struggling at one point and you need someone to talk to, it's better to try and not make a big, because that just makes it worse in your mind.
Well, like I just know also I felt the need to, because we have had it pretty good over here where we live in Louisiana with the whole pandemic, but I've heard stories, especially recently, that it's like this. There are certain parts of the United States that aren't like back to like fully back to normal yet and stuff like that. And it's like to
be fair, we're not either. Just people stop paying attention.
I mean, you're right, you're right. But I just know there's still people out there that have had a hard time getting out of their house, and I was like, I have kind of gotten the mindset. I know it's bad, but I've kind of forgotten about it because I've kept myself,
because it's not real.
Stop it. I've kept my mask on. I've kept my social distance and that kind of stuff. And so I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of taking for granted what we have, and so I'm starting to realize that, like, man, it would have been a real different turn of events.
There
if
are
we were
people
still locked
who
up.
have lost their jobs, and
I count my lucky stars every fucking day.
I know, yeah. So
the fact that I'm here right now is a testament to that. I feel like.
And that's one thing for me as well, is that for a lot of people, they lost their job. This pandemic was so bad, and I never broke stride. I was a paramedic.
Oh yeah.
If anything, like, school got weird for me because I couldn't go to the school, and I was like, so I can't go to the school, but I can still do all my clinical shifts. So I still work 7 days a week on the ambulance, which is more exposing than going to the classroom and learning.
Right.
So if anything, I was just mad that school was harder for me at the end.
Yes.
At the very end, at the pivotal time too. Yeah. But other than that, after I was done with school, like, I just worked, and it was just normal for me. And our call volume dropped because less people were out doing things. There was less, car wrecks and doctor visits that we got. Yeah. So like nothing happened, and it was just like, oh, okay. And then people were recognizing us as freaking heroes. And I was like, I'll be honest, if anything, my work is now less being used because everyone's staying home.
Exactly.
And so it's like, it was weird because, I didn't really get affected by it. And I was like, I'm not, people who are sinking money into like healthcare workers, I appreciate it. I appreciate the recognition as a paramedic, especially because paramedics don't get that much recognition in general.
Yes.
But that being said, at the time, and even still now, I will tell you, I'm not the one who needs the money. I have a job still. Like, the money needs to go to these people who lost their jobs. Yeah. That's where it needs to go. And that's why it was just really weird for me. But I definitely can feel for it. I've picked up some people who, they've lost their freaking job from this, and they're like, I don't know what the hell to do. Like, it's weird.
Well, so anyways, here's to a better year that we got going. I mean, we're still going pretty good. We're about almost halfway through this one.
Oh yeah.
Seize life though.
Yeah.
Firmly grasp it.
Oh my God. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. As always, we all appreciate it, even though those goons don't say it a whole lot. I appreciate you guys, if nothing else.
All I can think of is the SpongeBob meme where people
listen to me right now. I love you.
Wait. That's why we don't say it, because we get weird when we say it.
I mean, I guess you're right.
You say, we appreciate you, and we're like, yeah, I love you. I'm never going to stop loving you.
Bitch.
All I could think of was the SpongeBob meme where people crop the Bible over it and says firmly grasp. For some reason, I forgot what he actually, I think he's holding like a bug net, but everyone crops the Bible over it. And I think it's so funny.
Anyways, until next week, we will hit you with another episode, guys. As always, if you're looking for us, we have a Linktree/Ian Wolf. You can look for us on Spotify, all the podcast platforms and all that kind of stuff. But until next time,
ogres have layers.
He meant that literally. We will hit you.
Bye-bye.